Ladies and gentlemen, heroes, villains, critics, and moviegoers the world over, welcome once again to another episode of B-Review. I am your host, Tom, and I'm coming at you with another review today for a movie that is not retro. It's a rather relevant one. It is a sequel, you might even say a prequel. It belongs to an existing franchise, none other than G.I. Joe, which means you of course know, and you knew when you clicked on the video, I am going to be reviewing Snake Eyes. Had the opportunity of watching it recently, and I've taken some time to really collect my thoughts on it, because I do have some things I want to talk about, and I'm going to do, of course, my best to keep this spoiler-free. So let's just dive right in here for a moment and talk about the good of this movie. First off, American-made martial arts movie is really what this boils down to. Of course, it is in the universe of G.I. Joe, so, we're not going to expect anything too groundbreaking, but that being said, for an American-made martial arts movie, I think they actually did a very good job. I think the martial arts is pulled off quite well. It's very well choreographed. I do have one nitpick with it, which I will talk about probably in the ugly, but for the most part, it's actually very well handled. It's very impactful too. It feels like people are in danger. It feels like things are actually happening. It looks great. It sounds great. It's just, start to finish, there's a lot of great action in this movie, and I actually really enjoyed that. And that's really all I really want from a movie like this as well. Not only that, though, this movie has a star-studded cast. First of all, Henry Golding, who plays Snake Eyes. Fantastic. He did a wonderful job. I think he nailed the character, what he was directed to do for the character. And so I think that, everything about that just really worked. He really has a good gravitas that he brings to the role. It just really sucks you in, just draws you in. And so I really liked his performance. That being said, Andrew Koji does a great job as well as Tommy. This movie has Iko Uwais in it, who is my all-time favorite martial artist. And in case you don't know who that is, he's the main guy from The Raid Redemption as well as The Raid 2. Probably the two best martial arts movies ever made. If you haven't seen them, go watch them. Keep in mind, they are brutal, but they are phenomenal. So definitely give those ones a shot. Also, Samara Weaving's in this movie. I was first introduced to her recently, actually, with Ready or Not, which is a phenomenal horror movie. If you haven't seen that one, definitely go watch it. It's one of the best ones that's come out in the last couple of years, in my opinion, or at least for that genre of horror. Home invasion-esque, for lack of a better. So she killed it. Peter Mensah, who you would know from Spartacus, does a great job. I would say Peter and Iko, they have pretty small roles, so I did wish that there was a little bit more, but otherwise, for what they did, it worked perfect. So it's got a star-studded cast. Everyone is on point. All of their acting is very good. You can tell that they are doing exactly what the director intended. They're pulling it off very well. All of them, when they're on the screen, they just know how to sell what they are doing. So I would say that is all fantastic. I was very impressed, very happy about this movie for those reasons. I would say that a lot of the elder millennials, like myself, and a lot of Gen Xers are probably going to very much enjoy this movie. A lot of it for the nostalgia. However, some of them are probably going to not like some things, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But this movie definitely hits on the nostalgia, so if anyone watched the G.I. Joe cartoons growing up or read any of the comics, this is going to be right up that alley, so you should get some good vibes from that. But let's go ahead and change tunes a little bit here. Let's talk for just a moment about the bad. No movie is perfect. This movie certainly has some flaws, and I would like to talk about that for a moment here. First off, I talked about how some Gen Xers and elder millennials may not appreciate it for the nostalgia, and that's because there were some choices that were made for Snake Eyes, our main character, that don't really have a good payoff. I guess if you know who Snake Eyes is, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to spoil much, but things that they chose to do with him that are not part of his character, largely. And I think they could have gotten to that point because this is an origin story, and I think I think it's fine that they went the route that they did, but there should have been something that connected it to make Snake Eyes, kind of finish that little arc, if you will, to what we know. But they didn't do that. So I was a little disappointed in that. Outside of that, I think it was fine. The character of Tommy, I think, is very wildly underdeveloped. His arc at the end doesn't make sense. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I just for what happens with this character, there should have been subtle nods that hinted to the possibility of the result that we got. There wasn't any, so it felt very out of left field. So I think that could have been written better. And so for those things, I am a little disappointed in the director, Robert Schwentke, who, you would know, he directed Red, Retired, It's Extremely Dangerous, as well as R.I.P.D. and a handful of other things. But so I definitely was a little disappointed with some of his creative choices there. That was definitely disappointing. I was not stoked about that. The story itself, it's very simplistic. It's very easy to follow. So because of that, you're not going to really relate very well with a lot of these characters, because there's a lot of this stuff that's very one note. But a lot of that, again, is made up for by just the very well-crafted action and delivery. So even though, like, the directing choices aren't awesome, the delivery from the actors is. So keep that in mind. But let's go ahead and talk for just another moment, and we're going to dive into The Ugly. All right, so The Ugly, it's G.I. Joe, but I'm going to start with this, actually. So I talked about how the action and the choreography is masterfully handled, and that is all true, except for in the first scene. And I would say that the choreography is still actually fine in the first scene, but the problem is with the first scene, the first fight scene of the movie, it's shaky cam, and it's bad shaky cam. Like, not through the whole movie, again, just the first few minutes, first fight scene, or first few minutes of the first fight scene, really bad shaky cam. Like, maybe not Bourne Supremacy bad, but definitely Bourne Ultimatum bad. It was distracting enough to be like, why are you doing this? Especially when you have such legendary, talented martial artists on your team. There's no reason to do shaky cam. It's been established and known for some time now that audiences don't like it. We don't buy it. It's not good filmmaking. Stupid. That is the ugliest of the ugly. That drove me insane. Again, it's only one small part at the very beginning of the movie. I feel like the rest of the movie flows much, much better than that, and so I definitely appreciated that. There definitely is, again, some creative choices, some narrative choices that were made with the characters that just, again, they don't really make a whole lot of sense. There's a plot device, if you will, that the whole movie kind of centers upon, and it's out of this world, you could say. I don't know, for something like G.I. Joe, I think, and especially for an origin story, I think they should have grounded this one a little bit more, but it's fine, whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, I think that shaky cam was definitely the ugly in this. There's certainly some CGI that's a little rough, but all in all, let's take a step back for a moment here. All in all, this movie, I enjoyed this movie. Was it perfect? No. But did I get what I paid for? Yes. Did I get what I expected to get? Yes. So this movie, I am going to give 3 swords out of 5. It's not perfect. It definitely does not deserve 5, but it deserves 3 because I did have fun. I enjoyed it. My kids loved it. Again, I got what I paid for, and I wasn't disappointed. I wasn't expecting much. This is definitely a popcorn film, and it served what it was meant to serve. Thanks so much for watching, guys. What are your thoughts? Have you seen the movie? Do you have anything that you would like to add? Do you disagree or agree with my thoughts on this movie? I want to know. Hit me up in the comments below, and make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know what's coming up, because we have tons of new content every week. We don't want you to miss out. And of course, if you could share with your friends, that goes a long way. All these things, they don't cost you anything, but they go a long way to help us to support the channel, and we really appreciate the support. Thanks again so much for watching, guys. We really appreciate you. And as always, be critical, but enjoy the movies.